So this is now, God, I did Hateful Eight, done Room Review, I've done Star Wars if you want to count as an Oscar movie. It wasn't nominated for Best Picture, but it's still nominated for 5 Oscars, so I guess it counts. So I'd have to say this is part 4 of my Oscar movie reviews. I'm not going to do all of them. Trust me, I'm not going to do all of them. We're going to be here for a long time if I want to do all of them. But I will go into more detail with what I think about the other Best Picture nominees later. But right now, we're talking about Spotlight. Now, Spotlight has been the favorite to win Best Picture. It's won the National Board of Review for Best Film. It's won the Critics' Choice Award for Best Film. I'm not too sure if I'm getting my facts right here, but I know that it's won pretty much all the great awards right now that aren't, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, all the other little, Critics Film Circle awards. They've all awarded Spotlight as the best film of this year. And I wouldn't say it's the best film of the year. Just personally, I'll get into that a bit more. But I would say that I really can see this movie winning Best Picture. It isn't my favorite out of all the other Best Picture nominees, but I do think that it deserves to win Best Picture. That's the thing with Spotlight. Spotlight is I'm saying you to the end point of my review at the start. That's not what you do. So Spotlight is set in Boston in 2001, on the cusp of a couple of settled Catholic Church sex abuse scandals, and this team from the Boston Globe, who are called the Spotlight Team, and they go into deep investigations into stories and really uncover it all. They spent months, maybe a whole year, on one story. And that way, when they put it out, it's all detailed. All the facts are clean, precise. The sources work, and the investigation is like a police investigation. That's their purpose. So they take the old cases that had been done in the 1990s, and they start to see a few irregularities, and they start going into it a bit more. And the whole movie is about this 4-man team of Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Mark Ruffalo, and Brian Darcy James. Hang on, I just need to get his name right. I've actually never seen him in anything before. Yeah, I got it right. Brian Darcy James, thank you. I haven't seen him, but he's really interesting in this movie. I'll get into that later. So that's their 4-man team. They go into the investigation of Catholic sex abuse of children, Catholic priests abusing children sexually. And they start to find out that there's more victims than they could possibly know. And worse than that, there's more unconvicted priests who did it. And there was even a bit in the movie where they say 9% of Boston priests have committed sex abuse crimes and not reported it. And they realize, wait, there's 1,500 priests in Boston. Boston is primarily a Catholic city. I think it's somewhere in the vicinity of 53% of the population is Catholic. That's a huge population. So they have 1,500 priests, and they realize that I think it's 9% of it would be 90. I'm not getting entirely the facts right. I'm kind of paraphrasing a bit, but they realize that it's 90. There might be 90 priests in Boston alone that committed these crimes, and that's just this shocking, oh wow, how could they have done that? And that's the thing with Spotlight. It's made in the same vicinity, in the same sort of genre as old classics, classic thrillers, where you're getting into the story so much that you start to remember these specific names, in the same vicinity of All the President's Men, 3 Days of the Condor, and even Zodiac. Even though it was done in 2007, it still is a classic of that sort of investigative journalism. And Spotlight fits into that brilliantly. Tom McCarthy, the writer and director and producer, has come off a box office bomb known as The Cobbler with Adam Sandler. And it's just what? That guy who made that terrible Adam Sandler movie that no one ever cared about, that came out last year or this year, I don't know, I don't really care. And now he's done this, which is nominated for Best Picture, and he's nominated for Best Original Screenplay, and he's not nominated for Best Director, but he's nominated for Best Director across the board on everything else. It's just that big gap. But you can see why he has been nominated for so many things. His direction is incredible. He gets you into the story and doesn't let you it doesn't shove in all these other filler elements of, backstories of the characters. He lets you get in there, and he doesn't take you out. He holds you in there. You're trying to fight. You're watching it and you're thinking, I don't want to be here. I don't want to keep watching this. This is kind of horrible. It's horrible to understand this sort of story, that this was a real story. But he says, no, you have to watch this because this is important. And you can't escape. And when I say that, I mean, like, for how every single scene of characters talking is interiors. Even in exteriors, you still have characters talking to one another about serious discussions. There is no element of this movie where it's like, some comedic little bit that has nothing to do with the story. Every single scene is so precise and so direct to the story, and it keeps it flowing. It keeps it absolutely focused. This, along with Room, are probably the two most focused movies I've seen this year. They keep the story clear. They keep it absolutely clear in your mind, and the full frontal force in your attention, and doesn't let you escape to some other world. This is cinema at its darkest, at its most crucial, at its most heart-wrenching, but it is at its most important as well. Because Spotlight, it encapsulates, that sort of story, that's something that happened in 2001. And it has that sort of old-timey sort of feel of All the President's Men, but it's also got this one foot firmly in modern filmmaking at its finest. You take big cast members and don't let them run the whole movie I'm Mark Ruffalo, I'm going to be the big star of this movie, and everyone else can go away. No. All the characters, even though there are some fairly big names in here. You have John Slattery from Mad Men, you have Liev Schrieber from Ray Donovan, and many other movies. They're big names in general, but they all fit together as pieces of a puzzle, and they're all brilliant supporting actors. Mark Ruffalo really is the highlight, but that's just because he delivers such a great performance, and that it was just so enlightening to see that. At times, I'd have to say that the story was a tiny bit confusing. Like there was some scenes where you're trying to watch it, you're trying to get really enveloped into it, and then they might have this one little bit of them investigating it, and it kind of throws you off, and you start thinking something else when they're thinking about something else, and then it comes forward, and then you're a little disappointed because you thought that this would happen, and you thought that, this person is really the person who's been, connecting the whole thing, when it isn't that case. It's just the case of, okay, this person actually lied, or this person was telling the truth, and they buried these documents, and it has nothing to do with your speculation. This guy may be, in on it. He's not. He's just this guy. You'd understand if you're watching the movie. I'm talking about just when you watch the movie, pick out when one of the lawyers say that 20 priests were meant to be convicted. They gave all the information to the Boston Globe, and the Boston Globe buried it. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, maybe this editor who's saying I don't like this story, I want it to die. There's no information here. Your sources are all stupid. We've already talked to them before. They're complete nut jobs. And you're thinking, is this guy in on it? He's not. That's the thing. But unfortunately, the script isn't saying that, oh, what you're thinking is, that's not it. You shouldn't be thinking that. No, it kind of leads you on that bit of a tangent. You start to see all this information piecing together, and you're thinking, oh, this, and it goes, and the script kind of leads you onto this other trail when it really should be on this trail. That's just your attention. And unfortunately, that's how the movie grabs your attention and kind of pulls you away a bit. So maybe it's not as focused. I'm going over myself. So maybe it's not as focused as I thought, but it drives it forward in the end. And the ending for this movie is so powerful and so direct that you watch it and you feel like, oh, wow, that was a true experience. And Spotlight is a very uneasy experience, and that's really what it is. And Spotlight, to me, is as I said, a statement of modern filmmaking and an enlightening experience of what really lies in the shadows of religion. And I'd have to say that Spotlight is a 9 out of 10 for me. So if you've seen Spotlight, tell me what you think about it. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, I'm open to all sorts of ideas. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos now, very consistent, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.